Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lab. In this lab, we're going to take a quick look at how you can update the course files in your Cloud Shell. So do you remember how in the Cloud Shell data flow lecture, I asked you how might you undo the changes that you had made to those files? Well, you could try undoing changes manually in each file, but that's really time-consuming and error-prone, not a recommended approach. And remember how I also asked you how you might update those files if I made some changes to them? Well, I did make some changes, and I will definitely be making more too. So before each lab, you really should make sure that any lab files you use are up to date. So a pretty bad way to update the files would be to delete everything and clone the whole repository fresh each time. But that's really inefficient, both in terms of how much data you need to transfer from GitHub to that Cloud Shell machine, and also in terms of how long it'll take. Now, of course, if you're already familiar with Git, then I'm sure that the solution has been obvious to you all along. Just pull the changes. And that's definitely what we're going to do, yeah. Now, you can feel free to do that on your own if you'd like, but in case you're not so familiar with Git, I made a little script to make things easier. In particular, this script will configure a couple of default settings in Git, squirrel away any local changes you've made for future reference by using Git's stash functionality, and then get the latest updates from GitHub. Alright, so to follow along with this lab and run the update script, you'll need to log into the GCP console with your user account and open Cloud Shell. For this lab, it doesn't really matter which project you use when you open Cloud Shell. Well, alright, I'll see you in the shell. Okay, so here we are in the Cloud Shell, so let's just take a look at the files that we have. So there's not really a lot here, just the README file and the repository that we cloned. So let's navigate into that repository, the GCP Cloud Engineer, and take a look there. Now this doesn't look like a lot of stuff yet, but I know already that there's more stuff on GitHub than we see here. And the update.sh file is the update script that I mentioned. Now, before we run any script, it's always a good idea to make sure we know what it's going to do. And while we could print the script to the screen, it's a much nicer browsing experience to use the editor instead. So let's open up the editor, navigate into the GCP Cloud Engineer folder, and click on the update.sh script. Here we see that it does some setup, prints out what it's going to do, configures the user.email and user.name settings in Git if they're not already set, shows any local changes that have been made, stashes those changes in Git, pulls the latest changes from GitHub, and finishes. Well, alright, that seems reasonable enough. We won't be needing the editor any longer, so I'll just close it now, but you can feel free to leave it open if you want. If we want to run this script, we're going to have to make it executable first. So we type chmod +x and then update.sh. And now we can run the script by typing /update.sh. And there we go. That was pretty quick, right? And now if we look at the files, we see that there's more stuff here. And also the update.sh script has gone green to indicate that it's executable. Well, there we go. That's really all there is to this. It's not very complicated, and from now on, all you'll have to do is to just run the update script. Or of course, like I mentioned, you could run whatever Git commands you want yourself. Now, also as I mentioned, it can be good to keep these files up to date. This is particularly important if the lab actually uses these files to run a program or something like that, but it can also be helpful because I often include a text file listing the different commands I run in each lab. If you're getting stuck on a particular command, then you can definitely take a look at what it says there. But I would caution you, don't do the labs by just copying these commands and running them. The whole point here is to learn, and you really learn much better by doing it yourself. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. If not, please feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.